Alright, let's try this again. Amumu, try number 2. Let's go.
Gentlemen, to another episode of the Lore of League of Legends. We're nearing the end of the Shurima storyline with only 2 more champions left to cover. I'm going to get right into it.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, I present to you the updated lore of Amumu, the Sad Mummy. Enjoy. The hardy folk of Shurima agree upon certain things. The wind always blows from the west in the morning. A full belly on a new moon is an ill omen. Buried treasure hides under the heaviest of rocks. They do not agree, however, about the tale of Amumu. One oft-told story links Amumu to the first great ruling family of Shurima, who succumbed to a disease that corrupted flesh with hideous speed. The youngest child, Amumu, was quarantined in his chambers and befriended a servant girl, who heard his cries through the walls. She regaled the lonely air with courtly news and stories of her grandmother's mystic powers.
Okay.
One morning, the girl brought word that Amumu's last remaining brother had passed away, making him Emperor of Shurima. Saddened that he had to bear this news alone, she unlocked his door and ran inside to comfort him face to face. Amumu threw his arms around her, but as they touched, he fell back, realizing he had condemned her to the same terrible fate as his family. Upon the girl's death, her grandmother placed a twisted blight on the young emperor. In her mind, Amumu had as good as murdered her kin.
Might as well
As
have
the curse
murdered
took
the
effect,
grandma,
Amumu
too,
was trapped
so
in
she
his
doesn't
moment
put a
of
blight
suffering,
ring.
like a locust ensnared in honeyed amber. A second tale whispers of another crown prince, one given to bouts of petulance, cruelty, and
fair,
murderous vanity.
The grandma is 100% in the wrong here. You know, of course she doesn't care that she's in the wrong, because, like, you know, her granddaughter is dead, but that's not his fault. He's the sick one here, you know? Well, that doesn't sound right, because if you're a psycho, you can also say, well, he's the sick one here. It's like, yeah, but she's the dead one, right? It's like,
In this telling, Amumu was crowned Emperor of Shurima at a young age, and convinced he was blessed by the sun, he forced his subjects to worship him as a god. Amumu sought the fabled Eye of Angor, an ancient relic entombed in a gilded crypt, said to grant eternal life to whoever looked upon it with an unflinching heart. He hunted the treasure for years with a host of slaves who carried him through labyrinthine catacombs, sacrificing themselves to traps so the emperor could continue without hindrance. Amumu finally reached the Cyclopean Golden Archway, whereupon dozens of his stonemasons laboured to breach the sealed door.
well, here's the only thing I don't really understand. How is the Yordle become Emperor of Shurima? It's like these two stories already don't really make sense.
As the young emperor rushed within, determined to look into the Eye of Angor, his slaves seized their chance and sealed the stone doorway behind him.
Also, if he's a Yordle, he's already immortal, right? So it's like he wouldn't be seeking immortality.
Some say the child emperor endured in the darkness for years, his loneliness driving him to insanity and causing...
Oh wait, actually he might not be a... he might be also a child, not the Yordle, so...
him to claw at his own skin, which he was forced to wrap in bandages. His life was extended by the power of the eye as he meditated on his past transgressions, but the gift was a double-edged sword, for he was cursed to remain forever alone. When a series of devastating earthquakes shattered the foundations of his tomb, the emperor escaped with no knowledge of how much time had passed, seeking to undo the suffering he had caused in life. Yet another story of Amumu tells of the first and last Yordle Emperor of Shurima, who believed in the innate goodness of the human heart.
Wait, he was the first and last Yordle Emperor?
Last Yordle Emperor of Shurima, knowledge of how much time had passed, seeking to undo the suffering he had caused in life. Yet another story of Amumu tells of the first and last Yordle Emperor of Shurima, who believed in the innate goodness of the human heart.
But how does Yordle become Emperor?
To prove his detractors wrong, he swore an oath to live as a beggar until he made one true friend, convinced his people would rally to help their fellow Shuriman. Though thousands walked by the deceived Yordle, not one stopped to offer a helping hand. Amumu's sadness grew until he eventually died of a broken heart. But his death was not the end, for some swear the Yordle still wanders the desert, forever searching for some...
Well, how can he die from a broken heart? Like, from sadness? I mean, But also, if he is a Yordle, then he's immortal, isn't he?
one who might restore his faith in humanity. These stories, despite their differences, are woven with parallels. Whatever the circumstances, Amumu is doomed to exist in a broken state of emptiness, eternally alone and friendless, fated to forever search for a companion. His presence is cursed and his touch is death. On long winter nights when the fire is never allowed to burn low, the sad mommy can sometimes be heard weeping in the desert, despairing that he'll never know the solace of friendship. Whatever Amumu searches for, atonement, kinship, or a single act of kindness, one thing is as certain as the western wind at dawn.
Oh.
He has yet to find it.
Oh, yeah. And he ain't gonna find shit if he keeps crying about it. Put your grown man ass pants on, you know, like grown man pants on. Grown ass man pants on. How do you say that? Grown ass man pants on, yeah. That would be the one. Alright. Go next. Go next. FF15, go next.